Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing the Zenith El Primero Moonphase, 45 millimeters in stainless steel. This watch measures 15.9 millimeters thick, from lug tip to lug tip, 52.5 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it is large. Not quite big pilot's watch large, but getting there. I would recommend you have a wrist at least as large as mine, 16 centimeters circumference, in order to wear this watch. It'll fit underneath the jacket cuff, maybe not the tightest of dress sleeves, but there is some slope to the bezel and dome to the crystal, which is a heritage crystal. It's designed to look like a vintage plexiglass. So the watch wears quite well, but it is large. Again, your wrist any smaller than mine, you're going to be challenged. Taking a quick look at the strap and the buckle. The strap is large rectangular scale alligator leather with a matte finish. It is dark brown, has a little bit of bolstering to give it some volume, and though the edge is broad, it is a folded edge. Monotone stitch. We have rubber on the underside, and these Zenith straps are rubber lined, first because it feels great against the skin, but also to separate the strap from the oil, moisture, heat, sweat, and grit of the wrist. So there's rubber on the underside rather than the more conventional calfskin. We have a double folding clasp, including little ceramic pin snaps inside, so the tolerances will remain tight and snappy over time. One of the swing arms of the buckle actually acts as the spring system for the twin trigger release. So you have twin trigger release. It's quite secure when in place. The case band, you'll recognize it from the modern Chronomaster series, as they're essentially the same. A nice curved case band with integrated lugs, a little bit of a bevel on the lug shoulder, satination on the top, and then a downward tucked and squared off profile. We have a little bit of a vertical element to the bezel, and then it juts in with a narrow conical section. We have vintage inspired pump pushers and a Zenith crown with a little star, and on the underside of the case, a little curve so you can more easily dig in your nail. It is 50 meters water resistant, automatic winding with a 50-hour power reserve, and like all Zenith El Primeros, the Rolex was different, but like Zenith El Primero movements, this one beats away at 36,000 vibrations per hour or 10 beats a second, which is why the chronograph seconds hand is just a little bit smoother on an El Primero than on a conventional chronograph. We have a tachymeter outboard that is slightly sloped in the form of a rehaut, and then inboard, a silver satin metallic finished minutes track with a set of applique steel rhodium-plated hour indices. We have a sunburst silver interior with little railroad tracks for reading your constant seconds as well as your minutes. There is a sunburst guilloche radiating outward from the Moonphase display. And now we need to talk about what sets this watch apart. First, let's talk about the lume. There's plenty of it. But the Moonphase is renowned as a romantic complication, though not necessarily a dynamic one. So Zenith asks, what can we do to make the Moonphase more interesting? Well, what we can do is we can make the Moonphase, which you can see just beginning to wax, we can make it an AM/PM indicator with a sapphire disc that contains both the elements. You can see it starts to jump out as the Moonphase indexes slowly, but you could see that the AM/PM, the day-night indicator that is on the same axis, that rapidly lightens as we approach daylight hours. So you have two different indications, AM/PM and Moonphase, on a single register. What you also have is a double-digit date, and of course, this being an El Primero, the date sets in the outermost crown position, so we have a quick set system. It does not feature hacking seconds, but the El Primero never has. Turn it all over, we have caliber 40-47, 32 joules, automatic winding, 50-hour power reserve, bidirectional winding action, 10 beats per second, 36,000 vibrations per hour, and we have a column wheel, which you can see in blue, with a lateral clutch, which is a beautiful way to build a chronograph and a very traditional way to build a chronograph. And thanks to a well-tuned column wheel, it has a particularly snappy action in the hand. This timepiece gives you the works. Romance, dynamism, the history and the heritage of the El Primero. Back to 1969, it was the first automatic integrated high-beat chronograph movement, and unlike any other chronograph calibers that rivaled it at the time, it remains an industry reference point and still in production. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.